Welcome to the first ever CineSnob Podcast. My name is Jared Kingery.
This is Cody Villafano.
And I'm Kiko Martinez.
And this is the first time we're doing this thing.
Yep.
We're just going to talk about some movie news, some reviews, and then Cody's got a bunch of stuff cooking in the pot there.
Yes.
Can you believe we're doing this, actually? I mean, haven't we been talking about this for the past,
a couple of years?
We talked about this like 2 years ago. We shot a Kickstarter video that never went anywhere.
Yep.
And then Cody came up with the bright idea to sell T-shirts, and we want to start off by thanking everyone that purchased a "I Am a CineSnob" T-shirt. Kiko is wearing his right now. He hasn't taken his off since it came in the mail. I actually haven't worn mine yet. I don't know where I put it.
I've worn mine once, and thank you for everyone who's actually wearing them to the screenings. That's really awesome to see.
Also, thank you for asking if y'all are getting free stuff when we see you with them on. We're not doing that yet, but soon.
Yeah, Kiko will give you $1 every time you see him. If you see him and you're wearing the shirt and he says he won't give you $1, he is a liar.
I'll give you 100 pennies, maybe.
Yeah, Kiko just carries around rolls of pennies with him, so just...
He's like an old lady that way. All right, you want to get started right away? We got some movie news.
It's time for the Real Rundown, recapping this week in movie news.
The big news this week, it broke at 6 o'clock or so on Friday that Edgar Wright, director of Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead, The World's End, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, is out as the director of Ant-Man, one of the, I guess, weirder Marvel movie properties that was coming up. Mm-hmm. Cody, fill us in on the details there.
Well, basically there's a report at Latino Review who, while they may be a little questionable, their Marvel scoops are usually pretty right on the money.
Their speculative clickbait stuff is something that I don't really care for personally, but the internet falls for it every week, so...
Yeah.
This seems to be a little more legit, right?
Yeah, it definitely does. And so basically what they're saying is that about 3 months ago, Marvel had some notes about changing some of the morality of the piece and including different characters. And so...
well, let's go back a little bit. This movie has been in the works with Edgar Wright since 2006.
2006.
Which predates any of this Marvel movie stuff.
Right.
Predates Iron Man, predates the actual formation of this Marvel universe. Right. So the speculation is that he had this worked up and they wanted to cram it into the Marvel universe.
Yeah, that seems to be the case because, for years Edgar Wright has been saying that it doesn't fit into the Avengers universe. Mm-hmm. He has been saying that this is a separate piece that doesn't fit in. Obviously because my comic book knowledge is very limited, but I believe that Ant-Man creates Ultron in the comics, and they are redoing that for the Age of Ultron.
I mean, there's a long, complicated history with any comic book character. This is one of the weirder properties. Guardians of the Galaxy, of course, being the one that's actually in the not in the works. It's being released in August.
Yeah.
When you say weirder, what do you mean? Because I think they're all weird.
Well, look, you got the straight Iron. Yeah, I see what you're saying, but stuff like Iron Man's a little more straightforward. Basically, it's Batman with technology, so everybody understands the story. Guardians of the Galaxy is, it includes aliens and a talking raccoon and a talking tree.
I didn't even know what Ant-Man was until they said that the movie was going to come out, and then I thought it was going to be like The Tick. Remember The Tick?
I remember The Tick, and I love The Tick.
I wish they would have made a movie of The Tick before they made Ant-Man.
The Tick isn't part of the Marvel universe, though.
Oh, well.
So. But the Tick had 2 tries at TV, and both of them kind of sputtered out. Anyway.
Yeah. And the other thing was this was always supposed to be a heist movie. See,
I'd heard it was supposed to be a spy movie.
Well, no, because the idea, it was going to be based off a comic where Scott Lang, which was one of the versions of Ant-Man, was supposed to steal the Ant-Man suit to help protect one of his family members. And so it was going to be a heist movie. And so basically what happened, according to Latino Review, which is what they heard, was that Edgar Wright and Joe Cornish, who directed Attack the Block, that they did 2 drafts for Marvel to try to answer their notes without compromising their vision. And then so 6 weeks ago, Marvel took them off the script and assigned it to 2 others. And
that's when Edgar and Joe, well, at least Edgar walked from the project.
Not quite yet. Edgar was okay to stay on it, and then this week apparently the new draft came in, and it completely tore apart everything that they built up. And that is when Edgar apparently walked.
But that always happens. I mean, they're always going to send out their script and it's going to come back changed. I think what makes it a big story is because, Edgar Wright is not just some writer.
Well, the
he has
internet,
a name already.
The internet loves Edgar Wright.
Right.
And this is, from my knowledge of Hollywood, this is pretty standard, where a script gets rewritten. It doesn't always happen that somebody who has the following and has the kind of cult status that Edgar Wright has, especially, I guess, post Joss Whedon in the Marvel Universe, gets booted. But this is a huge brand for Marvel, and I don't. If they're protecting their brand, then I don't really see a problem with it personally.
The thing that a problem is that Edgar Wright has been working on this movie since 2006. So Marvel knew what they were getting into, and this of course predates the Disney acquisition of Marvel.
Right.
So the thought is that that Edgar Wright had his supporters at Marvel. I mean, obviously they greenlit his script, but the thing is, apparently this is coming from higher up, so this is coming from the Disney side of things rather than Marvel. That's the speculation.
Again, I understand the Hollywood game here, and I don't really have a problem with it. I mean, I've been a fan of Edgar Wright's movies. I was a big fan of the so-called Cornetto trilogy.
Yes.
Which only nerds know that it's called a Cornetto trilogy because there's no really reference to it. I wasn't a big fan of Scott Pilgrim versus the World. And I know that Joss Whedon tweeted out a picture of himself holding a Cornetto ice cream, which leads to more kind of questions as to what actually happened, I guess. Frankly, you dropped the story on 5 p.m. on a Memorial Day weekend. The idea that everyone has is probably he got fired, right? I mean, there wasn't. They say it's amicable, but they didn't want to work with Edgar anymore on this.
I think. I mean, I don't know. I tend to think that Edgar walked. I don't think that that Joss Whedon would have done that had Edgar been fired. I feel like this. And there was also a tweet that Simon Pegg did that said he was incredibly proud of his friend Edgar Wright, and I think that leads me to believe that Edgar made a stand. And maybe he got fired as a result, but I think that it more points to Edgar not compromising his vision of the movie for the sake of what
for the sake of millions and millions of dollars.
I think he walked too, but who knows what kind of changes they made to his script. I mean, it could have been a few tiny changes, and he got pissed off about that.
But I mean, look, the Marvel has had tremendous success, and that's even with people you wouldn't have expected to be fantastic directors. I mean, Jon Favreau kicked this all off, and the last Captain America movie was given to 2 TV veterans, and it's been the biggest hit so far this year.
I like when they go. I like when they think a little bit more about the directors, and when they give Thor to Kenneth. How do you pronounce his last name?
No, Thor. Oh yeah,
Thor was.
I was just said Thor 2.
Yeah.
Oh no,
you said
not Thor 2.
Give Thor 2.
Oh, Thor. T.O.
But there was a female director, I can't remember her name, who was originally lined up for Thor 2.
Catherine Bigelow. No, I'm just
it wasn't
kidding.
Catherine Bigelow.
Was it? I'll look it up. I have a computer, so I can look these things up.
Imagine that. Anyway, but that was then given to Alan Taylor, an HBO veteran, Game of Thrones. And again, that was another success, another movie that built on the first film in the franchise and frankly made it better. I'm still not a huge fan of the Thor movies. But
that would be something groundbreaking to give a superhero movie to a female director.
Well, get this. Not only was it a female director, it was Patty Jenkins, who directed Monster.
Yeah, and anyway, Marvel knows what they're doing. The internet loves Edgar Wright. The fanboys love Edgar Wright. The fanboys also love the Marvel movies. So I guess it's kind of a quandary right now as to who to root for. As to whether or not I think this will affect Ant-Man, I don't really have an opinion one way or another.
I don't have enough idea of what Ant-Man should be to even be remotely.
I'm a comic book fan, and I don't really remember Ant-Man.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking the fringes of the Marvel universe here, so not fringes, but just way off the beaten path of the Spider-Mans and the Captain Americas and the Iron Mans. So.
I wouldn't want to be an ant if I had to be
You're an Ant-Man.
Bug-themed superhero.
They can lift like 40 times their body weight.
But an ant, I mean, maybe a red ant.
Like a fire ant?
Yeah, a fire ant. But
Yeah.
this is just it could be a sugar ant.
Yeah.
You never know.
Anyway, the ones you just smush with your thumb. All right, moving on. Staying in the Disney universe here, Gareth Edwards, director of Godzilla, the smash hit from last week, has been given one of the upcoming solo. Or what are we calling them? What are they calling them?
Standalones, yeah.
Spin-off episodes of the Star Wars saga. Cody, you got the details?
Yeah, according to the Hollywood Reporter, this movie will be written by Gary Whitta, who did the amazing Book of Eli.
Gary Whitta, get out of here. I'm just kidding.
It's
Are you being serious about the Book of Eli?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
It's from the writer of the Book of Eli.
I can never tell the sarcasm.
Anybody that says they saw the Book of Eli and knew that Denzel Washington was blind the whole time is a liar.
Spoilers.
Thanks a lot. I haven't seen the
Jeez.
Book of Eli. Thanks a lot.
So this movie is set to be released on December 16, 2016.
Yeah, let's stop right there for a second. That's one of the craziest things about this new crop of blockbusters is, hey, here's this movie. It's coming out this day. Like, holy crap.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're way out, too. I mean, we already have release dates for 2016 and in December of 2016. I mean, that's the end of the year. And I don't know about what you guys think, but shouldn't the production feel rushed at that point because you know you have these set deadlines?
I mean, I know that like half of these movies, well, I mean, more than half of the film is special effects. So I guess you have to have a deadline for these guys.
Yeah.
Because, half of the film ends up being technically directed by somebody else who's building the special effects. So that's another huge problem that we've talked about before, where the special effects companies bankrupt themselves to low bid on these projects.
I think internal deadlines are fine. I mean, but keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, you have to stake the claim, though. That's what these studios do.
Well, they try to beat each other to the date that they want. That's the
Yeah.
thing. And then the ones that are really bold in it is when they decide to pick a date that's already taken, like what is Superman?
And then
Batman v Superman: The
Decided
Dawn of Justice
There you
is
go.
the official title.
And then you start getting like these bidding wars, or really what they are pissing contests between the studios who's
gonna
blink
blink
first.
Yeah. Well, anyway, let's get back to Star Wars.
Yeah.
This is rumored to be based on an internal kind of Hasbro document. Hasbro, who has the toy license for Star Wars. The guess is that this is about Boba Fett.
Yes, that is the rumor.
Which I don't know if you've heard. Let's for a second, Kiko. Cody's only ever seen one Star Wars movie, so Cody doesn't even know who the hell Boba Fett is.
No,
Cody has only ever seen
Is
A
it
New Hope.
Boba
Yes.
Fett or Bobo Fett? Because you said it differently both times.
I'm going to go with Boba Fett because that's how Han Solo says it. Anyway, when in doubt, go with Han Solo.
Well, I on a Star Wars level, you're the quote unquote geekiest of us all. You love it. I'm not. I don't like connecting myself to Star Wars. I mean, I thought the series was fine and good when it came out, even though it was 3, not even born.
That's a bold statement. I thought the series was fine.
It was good.
It's something that redefined filmmaking. Like
It does,
blockbuster
but
filmmaking.
I just think it's just overdone so much. And
Well, I mean, you can't.
as
It
a
is.
cultural, reference.
No,
and
see, that's a good point because I may have not seen many Star Wars movies, but I appreciate it from a cultural standpoint.
You recognize its place in pop culture. at least.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, but the thing about Boba Fett is, Boba Fett, for the 3 people that are listening to this that don't know, died at the end of Return. Died at the beginning of Return of the Jedi.
There's no point in watching now.
Spoilers. He was thrown into the Sarlacc pit. He was also in the prequels. One of their faults that I will address in the prequels, because we could go on for forever on that. Boba Fett was introduced as a child in the prequels, as the child of a man named Jango Fett, who all the clones were based on in the Clone Wars. Anyway, we're getting deep into kind of lore here.
Kiko and I are staring at each other across the table
Kiko
right
knows
now.
what I'm talking about. Anyway, lots of fans aren't satisfied with this kind of origin story of Boba Fett. So one of the rumors that was kicking around a few months ago about a Boba Fett script was the story idea was that someone would come along, a different bounty hunter would come along and kill the kid who was legally Boba Fett, whatever. I don't know my galactic law. The guy that was the kid that was introduced as Boba Fett in the second Star Wars prequel, Attack of the Clones, would be killed, and this guy would take his armor and become Boba Fett, thus kind of negating his origin story in the prequels, which a lot of fans on the internet were kind of excited by, because it would erase some dreaded portion of the prequels that they weren't fond of.
Look, bottom line, this story just came out a couple of days ago, one day ago, whatever. We're going to get about 2 or 3 dozen different characters it's going to be on in the next year.
The rumors are Boba Fett,
or
Yoda, or Han Solo,
Yeah.
which is obviously probably going to be a prequel, since I don't think Harrison Ford is fond of doing the films anymore.
No.
No Jar Jar Binks.
But one thing that I think is interesting is they're hiring somebody who has kind of obviously Gareth Edwards just made a huge blockbuster in Godzilla, but I guess he has a more unique vision than, I don't mind J.J. Abrams. I don't find him to be a great storyteller. He's a great action movie director. Like these last 2 Star Trek movies, they weren't really Star Trek movies. They were action movies wearing Star Trek clothes. Yeah. And I'm kind of fearful that that's what Star Wars is going to be.
Well, Gareth Edwards does have a unique vision, but I don't think he showed it in Godzilla. I didn't find anything that unique. Not to get into Godzilla or anything, but
let's do it.
I think he kind of. I didn't see anything unique about it, so I think that maybe. Monsters was definitely unique.
Well, let's call it restraint.
Yeah, that's a good word for it.
Because he kept, whatever you think of Godzilla, his goal was, and he accomplished it, to keep it at the human level and keep Godzilla as sort of a force of nature. Whether or not you think he was successful at that, it's another conversation.
I don't understand why we keep up bringing up this vision of Gareth Edwards. He hasn't made anything. He made Godzilla and he made monsters.
But the idea is that Godzilla was technically not supposed to be a monster movie, but a human movie in which a monster inhabits.
So it's just a different perspective than someone like J.J. Abrams, who's just sort of, hey, here's the big blockbuster guy. He has an understanding. J.J. Abrams has an understanding of pop culture, obviously, and knows what people like, and gives them kind of the, synthesized version of it. Because I wasn't a big fan of Super 8 either, and I know, and it's crazy, just slavish Spielberg aping.
That's undeniable.
But his movies have been hits, and for better or worse.
Gareth Edwards? Are we talking?
I'm sorry, I'm talking about J.J. Abrams. So he's a bit of a safer choice, I think, for Star Wars.
It's such an obvious choice, though. I wish they would just go out and do something interesting.
Obvious choice for who? Abrams?
For the studio to go out and get J.J. Abrams.
Well, you get the hit. You get the guy that makes the hits.
You have to have a name behind Star Wars. You can't give Star Wars to
well, the thing is, you have to start with a name, and then you can give it to the guys like Gareth Edwards who come up, who are given a chance to do something. Whether or not you think it's successful, there's guys that came from nothing.
Yeah.
It's his second feature film, and it's a smash.
Well, plus,
what?
Just give Star Wars to, I don't know, Pedro Moldivar.
To Paul Thomas Anderson.
Give Star Wars to Pedro Moldivar, and maybe I'd be excited. I don't know. It's just not.
It's just going to turn someone into the thing about a Star Wars movie is it's going to take your favorite director, whoever it is, whoever gets that job, and it's going to turn them into a superstar. Mm-hmm. If you took somebody who had an independent vision before, and you cram them into Star Wars, you're going to get tiny touches of what you loved about them, and it's going to be the rest of it's going to be just a Star Wars movie.
And let's be truthful here. Gareth Edwards got this job because they looked at the numbers of Godzilla this weekend and were like, holy crap.
Well, that's how Hollywood works.
Oh, I know, but that's exactly. If had.
But I'd rather him that get it than
Uwe Boll,
Michael Bay.
Right.
Not that they'd ever do it. Not that Michael Bay would ever have that opportunity. I don't think. I think he's pretty exclusive with Paramount. But it's just one of those things that the numbers. That's the reward. The reward for toiling and having a vision that gets rewarded with a bigger budget is success, and that's.
Well, look what happened.
I don't know if that analogy made sense, but
look what happened with what's his name was Spider-Man Webb.
Webb. Yeah.
Mark Webb. He started with a little movie like 500 Days of Summer,
and the best parts of both of those Spider-Man movies are the romantic parts.
Yeah,
the rest of it suck.
I agree.
So anyway, that's 2016.
Yes,
and but in the meantime, we've got Star Wars Episode 7 coming out in 2015. I think one a year after that.
So you got me.
I don't know what Star Wars is.
We've already said that we've lost total geek credit because Cody hasn't seen these movies. So
Yeah.
we're gonna get him to see at least the last.
I'll just watch Attack of the Clones, right? And
Why
then I'll
don't
be
you
caught up.
Yeah,
Why
that's
don't
the best one.
Why don't you just watch the Family Guy?
The Blue Harvest and the something Dark Side and
Yeah, watch the Family Guy episodes.
All
And
right,
you'll be caught
good.
up.
I'll be caught up.
All right, let's move on. Last news item we've got: Redbox, everyone's favorite grocery store DVD rental kiosk, has announced they're shuttering 500 of those kiosks. Cody,
Yeah, and there's still over 40,000 of them. but
would they even miss 5? I thought they probably have 500 that are down a day.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
they're not functioning.
But that is not the story. The story is that they have been seeing pretty substantial growth, and that growth has halted. And they only had growth of a revenue increase of 3% last year.
Well, where else could they cram these things? Because these things are everywhere. That right? I mean,
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Because in a probably 3-mile radius from where we're at, there's probably 15 or 20 of them, right?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. And the story I'm reading here, it's from The Verge, which came from the Wall Street Journal. Blu-rays are only...
Always important to cite your sources.
Yeah,
Yes,
I like that you're
exactly.
doing that because we could just say that we
We could be like Latino.
Listen,
Review
guys,
and just think about
I'm
it.
a pro here, so they say that Blu-rays make up 15% of disc rentals last quarter, which is kind of low. But they also don't carry a lot of Blu-rays, which is a problem, and why I don't really like to go to Redbox.
Let me ask. When was the last time you rented from a Redbox?
Over a year ago. It's been a while.
Kiko?
maybe about 6 months ago, but I'm the type of person that'll rent and forget that I have it. So when I take
You're
it back,
you're one of their whales.
when
That's
I take
the whale.
exactly when I take it back, I owe like $58.
I seriously haven't rented from a Redbox, and it's got to be at least 3 or 4 years. I can't remember. I think I rented from a Blockbuster more recently than I rented from a Redbox, and that's really kind of crazy.
Well, apparently a lot of their revenue right now is coming from, because now they sell movies. So after they've been out for a little while, they sell the discs, and that's apparently where their revenue is coming from.
I mean, I've never not seen one busy on a Saturday night. You know, when you go to, what are you doing?
Sorry, I was trying to get something.
Here, you can grab that. There you go. This is a little behind the scenes.
Jesus.
God, come on, Kiko. This is professional. No, I've never, you'll go to the CVS or the Walgreens or wherever. McDonald's even has them.
Yeah.
On a Friday night, Saturday night, there's 3 or 4 people waiting in line. And people still rent movies. People don't rent them from Blockbuster anymore, obviously, because they're gone.
And as these continue to, it's weird because not only is this happening, but if you go to a Best Buy, their selection is it's becoming smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
And if you want a DVD, you almost can't even find one at Best Buy anymore.
Right.
So I wonder if the consumption of home movies is moving more towards like on demand or digital copies.
I think people want to talk about the rise of streaming, and I mean that's undeniable.
I guess Netflix is something I shouldn't
yeah.
neglect to mention too.
That's where everyone is going, is Netflix.
Yeah.
The idea, there's theories that the lack of choice has made people less discerning. You'll watch whatever's on Netflix as opposed to seeking out something else.
I have a friend who watches every single movie on Netflix just because it's on there, and I always tell him like, do you know why some of these movies are on Netflix and why they only go to Netflix? Because they're bad. He's like, no, I want to see everything that's on there. And
There's not really a true streaming solution yet. Everything's kind of splintered.
Yeah.
Because you can rent movies from Amazon Prime. There's all kinds of other stuff. Vudu,
yeah. I really like Vudu actually.
I've used Vudu a few times and I like them. But it's just there's never going to be there's not yet a system where, hey, I want to get this right now for everything.
Yeah.
They're either, the studios hold the movies back 4 weeks from that.
Exactly. And that has been a big problem. I mean, I think that actually probably hurt Blockbuster a little bit, is that the exclusive started going to Redbox or on demand, and Blockbuster was getting shut out for several weeks.
Well, Blockbuster.
They did a lot of things wrong.
I mean, towards the end, it was not pleasant. And a pleasant experience for anybody involved. I mean, obviously Netflix is kicking everybody's butt because that's the easiest. I have more devices that have Netflix built into them than I ever care to use. I really haven't fired up my DVD player maybe once a month for the last 6 months, mostly to watch screeners that get sent by studios. Even then, even some of those are going to streaming. So I don't know that I miss having the rental opportunity.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm coming at it from a different angle here. Having we get to see.
Well, we see almost
studios.
everything in theaters or
Right.
on screeners, so it's.
But do physical media is going to go away?
It feels that way.
One way or another.
It feels that way.
I think probably later than most people suspect. People don't have the hard drive space right now to store.
Well, that's why. I mean, okay, a lot of people have problems with Ultraviolet, but I love Ultraviolet. I have a pretty.
Was that movie with Mila Jovovich?
Yes, I'm a huge fan of that movie. No, Ultraviolet, for anyone who doesn't know, it's a cloud-based streaming service.
Is that the one where they lie to you and tell you we'll bring your disc in and we'll send it to the cloud?
You can do that at Walmart, or you can do it online. You can bring your DVD in, and then you can pay a fee. I think it's $3 if you have a Blu-ray disc and $5 if it's a DVD.
What? Really?
Let me check.
That's okay. Don't worry about the facts.
Anyway, I'll just screw the facts. But the thing is, you get you convert your DVDs or Blu-ray discs to digital copies.
Well, convert is a kind of a misnomer here. They have the files there.
They have the files, and
you're
you
just
get
proving
access
that
to
you
it.
already own it.
Right. So it's $2 for a DVD and $5.
Okay.
Or $2 for a Blu-ray to
Oh my
upgrade HD.
God.
And this allows you to see it. It's just
You can access it from any device. So basically,
Right.
Ultraviolet can connect to Vudu, Flickster, anything.
I mean, that's one of those things, though, that again, rights issues come up. Do you actually own it? Because not really. It's sort of like iTunes Music. To use iTunes, you don't own the content.
Right.
You own it. You license it to use on your device.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another one of these things. And that's one of the things that I think is probably going to be a difficult hurdle for straight non-physical media to overcome.
Who puts their movies out anymore to show them off? I mean, do you?
I have so many DVDs, it's unreal.
But do you have do you have them out on a shelf, or when people
I
walk
do.
in?
Where am I going to put them?
Yeah, mine are on a shelf in an alphabetical order.
Mine are too.
Yeah.
Well, mine are too, but they're in a closet hanging on a shelf on the back side of it, so you can just.
Well, I don't have the closet space you do.
Yeah.
But I mean, there are some things that I want to own. Excuse me. Man, I'm unprofessional now. My phone. There are some things that I prefer to own. TV series, things like that, things that don't make their way to streaming services that often. Things like, because Netflix stuff goes away, stuff comes back, stuff goes away forever and never comes back.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to catch up with Blu-ray. I mean, to open up that closet right there, I have 300 VHS, so don't make fun.
I'm not going to open up that closet.
Yeah. Nobody's going to open that up.
So is this a cause for worry, I think?
Because of the Redbox's closing? No, I mean, it's only 500.
Yeah, but it's.
I mean, they're saturated. The
What's
market's
gonna-
saturated.
It's going to happen little by little, and it's going to go away just like everything else is going away, and we're gonna end up in the cloud. Everybody's going to end up in the cloud sooner or
That's
later.
really sad sounding.
Well, the thing is,
we're going to end up everybody's going to end up in the cloud.
when Blockbuster went away, nobody really put up a fight. Nobody was like, "Oh my God, Blockbuster's closing." It was all like, "Well, they're still open." That was kind of like the general reaction.
Everybody made that joke.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know they were still open.
But what does that say about the idea of movie rentals at all? I mean, it's I will be curious to see the next 5 years and where Redbox is compared to where Netflix is.
I'd like to see some numbers on Amazon's rentals.
Yeah.
Because you can rent pretty much everything from Amazon.
Uh-huh.
I don't know that anybody really knows that.
Yeah, and in Vudu, Vudu's much the same. You can rent anything on Vudu.
Because say you're sitting at home and you're like, and somehow you've never seen The Karate Kid. Not the Jaden Smith one, but the original one. Or heck, Star Wars. You've never seen Star Wars, and you don't have any friends with the DVD or the Blu-ray. And you're like, man, I really want to watch Star Wars. How do you do it?
Yeah, that's
Legally, how do you do it? I mean, what do you do? Do you rent it? Can you rent it from Amazon? I don't even know.
No, and Redbox is only current stuff for the most part. So that's
I mean,
kind of a fundamental problem with Redbox.
And they'll bring back stuff like, when Amazing Spider-Man 2 came out, they'll, hey, rent Amazing Spider-Man, or some of the better Spider-Mans that came out in the last decade.
Yeah.
So that's it for movie news.
Yes.
And now it's time to move on to reviews.
Yes.
Here are this week's reviews.
First up this week is X-Men Days of Future Past.
Can I help you? Yeah, what happened to the school?
Are you a parent?
Sure as hell hope not. Who are you?
I'm Hank.
You're a beast? Look at you. I guess you're a late bloomer.
I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm gonna have to ask you to leave.
So where's the professor?
There's no professor here.
You're pretty strong for a scrawny kid. Come on. Sure there's not a little beast in there? Come on, beastie.
This is the 7th X-Men movie. Well, the 7th in the X franchise, after X-Men, X2, X-Men United, X-Men The Last Stand, X-Men Origins, Wolverine, X-Men First Class, and the Wolverine. So,
Nerd.
I am no. You have to know this at home or wherever you're listening that he rattled those off from memory.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. 100% memorized.
okay, let me start by saying, and I wrote this in my review. These movies, the first movie came out when Bill Clinton was president.
Wow.
Cody was an infant when this. How old were you in 2000, Cody?
In 2000, I would have been 11.
Okay, so you were right in the wheelhouse for X-Men.
Yeah.
It's kind of incredible, really, right? I mean, the way that these movies have been being rebooted.
Yeah. I think the incredible part is that I don't think they really ever lost their relevance either.
Each one has been, I think, except for the Wolverine and maybe X-Men First Class, each one was a bigger hit than the one before. Well, I think that may be a lie. I think the high watermark was X-Men The Last Stand.
Yeah.
Which everyone hates for some reason, but I don't.
I don't remember it very well, but I don't remember liking it when I saw it, especially because X2 was so good.
Right. And speaking of that, X-Men Days of Future Past marks the return of Bryan Singer to the franchise, who at the time of X2 was, I guess, the hottest guy in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And then went on to kind of screw up Superman Returns.
Yes, and then they gave X3 to the amazing Brett Ratner.
Which I don't have. That's another situation, echoing back to the Ant-Man thing. That was a situation where the whole cast and the script was in place, and then it was given to Brett Ratner. And another I guess, foible of Fox at the time, who owns the movie rights to X-Men. They wanted to hit a release date that was before Superman Returns, because people associated that, I guess, with X-Men, since Bryan Singer was directing it.
Oh, that's right.
I don't think they. I think they overestimated the movie going public a little bit.
Yeah, I think so.
Because nobody really cares.
Yeah.
Again, X-Men.
They'll go out and see both if they want to see both.
Well, yeah.
I don't think the mainstream audience cares who's directing the movie. I mean, do
No.
you really come out hearing
no.
people saying, "Oh, Brett Ratner did a great job on that"? I mean, it's just
there's very few directors, I think, that have a kind of household name among.
I think it's more of
people.
a marketing thing where you can put from the director of whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, people go see a Spielberg movie, probably now a James Cameron movie. You know, this is the guy that I like. As for comic book movies, I think they're going strictly for the characters.
Yeah,
And
you're right. There's only a few directors that have a name big enough where people are walking in just because it's them, like Quentin Tarantino or
Wes Anderson.
Wes Anderson.
Yeah, Wes Anderson on a much smaller
smaller
scale,
level.
Wes
Yeah.
Anderson. So let's talk about the movie. I thought it was pretty great, personally.
I liked it, and I'm not. You guys know me. I'm not a big superhero movie person, but I mean, when they're good, and this one was pretty good.
Cody?
Yeah, I liked it a lot too. I thought it was maybe the best of the franchise. I haven't seen the earlier ones in a while, but I definitely liked it a lot more than First Class.
Really?
I thought that the story, it's a pretty large spanning story in this movie, and they kept it pretty tight. It was a pretty tight story.
Well, one of the things that struck me was, I guess, after seeing all these Marvel movies that come from the Marvel and Disney, being Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, upcoming Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers, they all tie together pretty nicely. They're pretty firmly set within the universe as to what comes where, who knows who plays who, with the exception of changing a few actors here and there. The X-Men movies were always a huge mess. Like, if you think of the First Class timeline, which is technically a prequel to everything, that would make Jennifer Lawrence, later Rebecca Romijn, like 60 years old.
Yeah.
In the timeline of the original X-Men movies, and it was just different different characters were alive at different times. It was just a huge mess. And X-Men Days of Future Past, conveniently, I guess, uses time travel to fix all that. So by the end of the movie, you're left with a pretty coherent universe.
Yeah, and not only that, but he used it to almost repair.
Well, that's what I think was the goal, was to like, hey, this thing is a giant turd of continuity.
Yeah. So
let's do what we can to fix it.
You know, I guess if we're talking about the movie, I felt that I don't know if did you guys feel that this was yet another vehicle for Hugh Jackman to be awesome as Wolverine?
Well, there's no question that Hugh Jackman is the MVP, and Kiko mentioned this. Just a crazy cast of Oscar nominees and Oscar winners that have come from this franchise. Because you've got Jennifer Lawrence, Oscar winner, Halle Berry, Anna Paquin, who's in it for like 2 seconds, and then Oscar nominees and Hugh Jackman.
Has
Michael Fassbender.
Has James McAvoy been nominated?
No, he has not.
But he should be, because he is dreamy.
I didn't know if he got it for Atonement or not.
No, but I mean, just an incredible cast, and I guess it speaks volumes to how popular and how mainstream comic book movies have become. Because you got to remember, when I first started as a fan of X-Men in the early 90s, it was huge in the comic book world, but you couldn't go to Walmart and buy a Wolverine T-shirt. You had to go to some smelly comic book shop to buy something with Wolverine on it.
You still go to smelly comic book
shops.
shops.
Yeah, but I mean, I can buy my T-shirts at Walmart now, like a big poser. So it speaks volumes to how big these movies have become, that they can attract huge stars like Jennifer Lawrence. I mean, Jennifer Lawrence is probably the hottest actress in Hollywood right now, and she spends this movie in blue makeup and a scaly bikini or whatever you want to call her costume. And I mean, that would have been unheard of 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
Well, and I think they made a smart decision by, making this. I mean, because I believe in the comics, it's Kitty Pryde who goes back in time, and so
these are always loosely based on the comics,
right? And so they changed it to Wolverine because obviously it would be great to see Wolverine in this new universe that they built, and it's just a smart idea. It was perfect.
Well, there's nobody better in the franchise than Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, I mean, I would almost even argue in any of these superhero movies, Hugh Jackman is maybe the best adaptation of a character.
I would say Hugh Jackman, followed pretty closely by Robert Downey Jr.
That's
those
fair.
are the two MVPs, and the difference is that Hugh Jackman doesn't seem to want to go anywhere. Robert Downey Jr.
No.
Every nerd on the internet thinks he's done with Iron Man after Avengers, and I don't think. And as much as Hugh Jackman may hint at it, I don't think he's done playing Wolverine until he's old and flabby.
Well, and actually, Hugh Jackman had actually said that he was going to stop after Wolverine 2, and I think he's already pulled back from that statement.
Well, I mean, the Wolverine I think was a big success. Other than the last, I guess the final act, the final battle, kind of threw it off for me. But I know he wants to work with a director again, James Mangold.
Yes.
To continue the story of Wolverine. I don't know where that movie sits in this universe anymore, because it kind of X-Men Days of Future Past, I guess.
It kind of resets everything.
Undoes a lot of stuff, and then they don't even really reference the Wolverine in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
This picks up at least a good 10 years after, probably.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I just love when actors stick with the role and don't go anywhere, and we don't get 3 versions of the Hulk and 3 different actors. So I really, like you said, I really enjoy seeing, Robert Downey Jr. stick with it, and we don't get somebody else in the role.
Yeah, and I don't think this is a spoiler of any kind, but I think that we all kind of, I don't know about Jared, but I'm pretty sure that we all kind of agree that the Quicksilver scene was the highlight of the movie. Now, I have one fundamental problem with this scene, and it's the usage of the song when they use Time in a Bottle. I think that was too winky and cute for the scene. I think if that would have been pulled back,
what would you have preferred?
I don't care, but I just, that was kind of cheesy to me. But everything else about that scene was awesome.
It's got to play to the whole audience, man.
That's the problem.
Not just the Codys of the world.
I like the song, but it's because I like
Jim Croce.
Jim Croce.
Not Jim Crow. Jim Croce. I love Jim Crow. Kiko Martinez. Send your emails to him. I think this presents a tiny bit of a problem, maybe, to the Avengers 2 Age of Ultron. Yeah. Because if you saw the end of Captain America Winter Soldier, they teased Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch, played by Elizabeth Olsen and Aaron Taylor Johnson, both of Godzilla.
Yes.
Aaron Taylor Johnson isn't getting raves for Godzilla.
No, he's not.
Pretty dull, and he's playing Quicksilver. It's a weird not marketing, but rights issue with because it's such a confusing mess between Marvel and 20th Century Fox, who owns the film rights to X-Men and owns the rights to all the characters that are associated with the X-Men, and owns the rights to the words mutant. So nobody can be a mutant in the Marvel universe. They can have special powers. They can be whatever. Because Quicksilver is, if you don't know, he's Magneto's son. So
wait. The kid in the movie this last movie, he's not going to be Quicksilver in the next movies?
No, that's how it works. He might be in the next X-Men movie, maybe, but in the Avengers: Age of Ultron, which is, I guess, the next summer. That's the next time Quicksilver's going to be on screen, and it's going to be somebody different. So, I'm sorry, Kiko, but that's just how it works.
This is one of the rare cases where this has happened. I mean, usually they're able to keep them separated, but for some reason they both wanted Quicksilver, and X-Men kind of won the race to get him on screen first.
Ha, won the race. Get it? Because he's fast.
I'm going to just say I've made some bad puns in my life. That was not intentional.
I do not like this story at all.
Well, this is something different. This isn't the same situation like recasting an actor. This is like when there's two different versions of Sherlock Holmes. Why are you drawing a heart? That's cute.
He's going to write I Heart Paul Thomas Anderson.
I Heart Quicksilver and X-Men. So, yeah, it's going to be weird. I think Evan Peters, who played Quicksilver, was fantastic in this film.
Yeah, not enough of him, I don't think, but
I think that'll be fixed next time around. X-Men Apocalypse, which is, I guess, teased at the end of the movie after the credits. Again, stick around after the credits. You'll see, something.
You'll see nerds standing in the aisles clapping for 5 seconds.
And everyone else going like, who was that? Huh?
Yeah. I had to be like, oh, yeah. I had to go home and look it up on the internet afterwards because I didn't. I mean, it's such a vast universe, and I don't really like the post credits things personally.
No, none of them ever live up to what you're hoping. So, like, I don't know if I've ever walked away from a post credit sequence going, I am glad I stayed.
No,
for
you
that.
know what? The first Iron Man that set everything into motion with when Samuel L. Jackson showed up at the end of Iron Man, the first Iron Man. That was when it was like, wow, this is. I mean. If the movie hadn't been a hit, it would have been just a nothing. But with that setting everything in motion, I think was pretty. Yeah, that was exciting.
That was a good one.
But now everybody expects it, so you gotta.
Did anyone else? I had a problem. I thought there was too much mystique in the movie. I thought it was too mystique heavy. I don't know if anyone else felt that way.
You don't like seeing Jennifer Lawrence wearing nothing?
No, I mean yes, but.
It's a strange character, I guess. She's kind of...
It's a one-sided character for me. I get nothing out of it.
They kind of rewrote the when with X-Men First Class, they kind of reworked her arc, having her grow up with Charles Xavier and kind of being in a love triangle with him and Magneto.
Yeah.
Which wasn't really present in the original trilogy of X-Men films, so... They're kind of retconning her into somebody sympathetic as opposed to just being this shape-shifting assassin. And I think it works with Jennifer Lawrence. I don't think it worked with anybody else. I don't think it worked with Rebecca Romaine.
Yeah.
I miss her.
She's still around.
Oh.
I keep wanting to call her Rebecca Romaine Stamos, but...
I saw both of them at South by Southwest when I first started going over there.
You saw John
Stamos?
I like how both of you got more excited about John Stamos than Rebecca Romaine. He
still looks fantastic.
Especially in those yogurt commercials.
I thought you were going to say yoga pants for a second. I was like, where's this going?
That too. Anyway, so I didn't have a problem with her.
Yeah, and I also really like James McAvoy in this. I like old hippie.
And Nicholas Hoult is Beast. I really liked. Not given much to do the first time around.
No.
Maybe he got the bigger part because he's Jennifer Lawrence's boyfriend.
Yeah.
In real life, but I think that was pretty. And I guess they killed off all the less interesting X-Men from X-Men First Class.
Well, I thought it was and I also thought it was really funny that that Halle Berry is in this movie for like 45 seconds.
Halle Berry. Yeah, and says like 3 words.
Yeah.
I mean, she shot it on a lunch break from something else.
Yeah, obviously.
I liked Halle Berry last year in The Call. Was I the only one that saw that?
I didn't see that.
I saw it. She was all right. Yeah.
I liked that movie all right until it got stupid at the end.
Well, you know, those WWE produced movies are all gems, right?
This was pretty solid for the first 2/3.
I guess I'll have to check that out.
Anyway.
Never.
Except Michael Imperioli went out like a total bitch. It sucked. Anyway, so moving on. Next up, we've got Chef.
Chef.
Slow down for a second. Is this boring to you?
No, I like it.
Yeah, well, I love it. Everything that's good that's happened to me in my life came because of that. I might not do everything great in my life. Okay, I'm not perfect. I'm not the best husband. And I'm sorry if I wasn't the best father. But I'm good at this.
All right, I didn't see Chef, but the two of you did.
Yes.
Yeah, and what I really love about this movie is that we see Jon Favreau, which we just talked about, igniting something like Iron Man, and then completely botching up something like Cowboys and Aliens, coming back and missing, getting away from that tentpole type movie, this blockbuster type movie, and going into a smaller, more intimate film like he did with
when he directed Swingers, right?
No, he didn't.
I know he didn't direct Swingers.
But acting in it as well. I mean, he did a great job in this, directing, acting. He produced it. He wrote it. So he's all over the place, and his fingerprints are all over Chef. And it's
that's gross.
Yeah, he washes his hands because he's a chef. And Chef is just a really, really solid independent film from director Jon Favreau. What did you think, Cody?
I liked it a lot. I think the star of this movie is for anyone who doesn't know about the movie, it's about a chef, a famous chef in L.A., I believe, and after quitting his job in a very high profile restaurant, he decides to open up a food truck.
Doesn't everybody do that now? Wasn't that
yes.
wasn't that a subplot in the 5-year engagement?
Yes, it was, and also I think. I'll get to other stuff in a second, but I think one of the strengths of Chef is it uses technology and it uses like the modern food truck scene to really push forward.
What do you guys think of food trucks?
I love them. I love the idea of them.
We ate at a bunch of food trucks this year at South by Southwest.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say there was somebody made grilled cheese with King's Hawaiian bread.
Yeah,
and I don't know, Havarti cheese or something. It was fantastic, but I think some of them are a little expensive.
Yeah, they're pricey, but I mean,
food trucks have been around for a long time. But it's just because
taco trucks have.
Well, yeah, same difference.
Well, when I was a kid, they weren't so classy. They were
right. That's something that I asked John.
The Roach coaches.
Yeah, right. That's something I asked John Leguizamo when I interviewed him at South by. If he would eat at a, dirtier type food truck.
Well, I think.
What did he say?
He's not. He's totally into word of mouth. So.
But he's a millionaire.
He would only go if he heard that it was good.
And you can read more of that full interview at CineSnob.net.
That's right.
Anyway, I think that food trucks, they're making a turn to where they're becoming more and more unique. People can go out on a limb a little bit more. But anyway, that's...
Yeah, you can get like a donut burger and all that crazy stuff.
But if it gets popular enough, I mean, they can't stay in a food truck for... I mean, there's food trucks that get big where they're going to have to put a brick and mortar type.
Well, I mean,
restaurant.
I just wonder what the lifespan of a food truck is. Like, can you open a food truck and then do that for the rest of your life? Like, is that a career? I mean, obviously we're not. This is like really speculative, like science and food trucks.
Yeah.
Like, what's the half-life of a food truck, guys?
I don't know, but
this movie makes you want to go to a food truck.
Yeah, it does.
Because a lot of people talk about food movies or food-based movies and how hungry they make you. That's the how well it's been done, and if that's the case, then I wanted to go eat something from a food truck right after I left the theater. I mean,
But did you?
I didn't.
No.
Okay.
I think
I remember there was a Chef food truck kicking around at South by.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, it was the truck from the movie. I didn't go to it. But
Ooh,
it was
the
there.
truck from did you get its autograph?
Yeah,
That's tire print.
I had it run over a piece of paper. Yeah. So anyway, I think at the core of Chef is this really, really good father and son relationship between Jon Favreau and
MJ
and the kid's name, who is
MJ Anthony.
And it's a really sincere relationship.
Natural performances,
absolutely. And like I said, technology. There's a lot of usage of Twitter, Vine, and a lot of that reference, but it's done in a way to where like the tweets are. Kiko and I were talking about this the other day. the tweets are shown on screen, and then they show like the Twitter bird fluttering off to show it going out into the world.
Yeah, it's almost like telling, the audience, like, whatever you put out there, it's out there forever. I mean, you can't take it back once you hit send. So
You can delete a tweet.
Well, not if you can, but
It's always archived or screenshot, or
especially if
whatever
you're
it may be.
popular and you have more than CineSnob fans out there.
Yeah.
That's going to change, man. That's gonna
Also, I guess the more I think about the movie, the more I come up with things that I might have not liked as much. I think that there's obviously two separate. There's pre-food truck and post-food truck in the movie. It's kind of separated. I think it takes a little bit of time to get into the food truck side of things. I also think that it's a pretty lighthearted movie. I mean, it's a pretty easy watch. There's not a lot of conflict.
I think it was well written by Favreau. I think that the pre-food truck scenes were done really well, especially because of the camaraderie between Leguizamo, somebody like Bobby Cannavale, and Favreau himself. Carnivale. They
Bobby C.
Yeah, they when they're in the kitchen together, it's great. And then little roles. I mean, I know you didn't like Scarlett Johansson in this too much,
No.
but I did. I thought she was fine. I thought Robert Downey Jr. has a small cameo in this, and then Dustin Hoffman does a great job.
Dustin Hoffman's good, yeah.
My favorite cameo of this was Oliver Platt. He plays the food critic in this, and just a really, really good, really good
Do you
role.
think food critics have podcasts?
Probably.
It'd be hard. I've never been a food.
They just chew into the mic. Yeah.
My only food critic is Yelp now.
Really?
Urban Spoon? You don't go Urban Spoon?
I'm more of a Yelp
I
person.
read that Yelp. There's a lot of people trying to get revenge on Yelp.
I had a friend get banned from Yelp
Why?
for posting outside links.
Oh no, but I'm talking about food trucks. What the hell? I'm talking about restaurants that have a competition with other restaurants.
Well, I mean, Yelp is, I guess, moderated to some degree because obviously, I know someone who's gotten banned from it for posting. It's making a lot of noise.
Sorry.
Jeez.
Come on.
This is podcast 101, man. You gotta know your etiquette.
Kiko's like scratching the
Yeah,
mic.
just going.
Hello, everyone. Chewing gum. Once I want to go off on a tangent here. The famous mime Marcel Marceau.
Mm-hmm.
Once when I was in a drama class in middle school, we were watching. Do you remember? Cody might not know these, but Kiko definitely the slide shows, the slide projectors, and it would there would be a tape that would play along with it, and it would beep when you're supposed to change the slide.
Right.
This was Marcel Marceau narrating one about mime. It was as exciting as you might expect.
What class is
Sounds
this?
great.
It was a drama class.
Oh, okay.
But he was, I guess, since he was a mime, he didn't really know how microphones worked, so he was way too close. So every time he would talk, you'd hear him say "And this is the art of pantomime," and you'd hear wetting his lips and moistening his mouth, and it just became this major.
He's probably like eating a powdered donut too.
Anyway, that's why he got the weight on his face, right?
Yes, exactly. He just powdered donut dust.
How long did you take? How many years of drama did you take? Is that why you're such a good actor?
I took 2 in middle school and 3 in high school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you go to one act and stuff like that?
We didn't. I wasn't in the one act. We did the one act was for the serious geeks. There was a kind of threshold. There was like I remember I was in a play in 9th grade called Spoon River Anthology, which is just a bunch of people on a stage, and you get a spotlight turned on you and you talk. It's supposed to be a graveyard setting, and there's a bunch of people, I guess, speaking out, just have short monologues about their life from the graveyard.
You played a corpse.
I was a corpse. I was a fiery general. I remember one of my line was "Follow the flag, follow the flag." And I remember, this is so embarrassing, but I remember I was so shy because this drama teacher had people in the class because this was drama 1 I was in, and drama 4 was the superstars. That was usually seniors, or if you were good, you got promoted to drama 4 early. But he had them write their own parts, and I wrote my own part, but I was too embarrassed to turn it in as myself, so I just left it on his desk.
You didn't put your name on it?
I didn't.
Wow.
No, wait, maybe I did. I don't know. I didn't. But anyway, I remember seeing him carry it around. I should have said something. And anyway, like they had us rehearse with the Drama 4 kids, and I remember I was so intimidated because I didn't have like the depth to my voice that I have today, so I was like, follow the flag. And I remember they assigned me like a Drama 4 student to help coach me, and I remember I was so like intimidated because this girl was smoking.
She was on fire?
Yes, she was on fire. No, she was smoking a cigarette like on campus, and this was like way after the days when that was cool.
Oh wow!
So, anyway,
maybe your drama teacher's listening to this right now, and he's like, "That's the kid that I've been looking for." He
Mr.
still has it in his hand.
Mr. Sweatman.
Really,
Mr. Sweatman. I think he's still a teacher there.
Sweaty balls.
Anyway, 20 years ago, I wrote that. I think it was about a mailbox. God.
He probably had it published. He put his own name on it.
Yeah, damn it.
You don't know where it's at now.
Anyway, that was a real giant tangent.
Yeah, but
yeah, Chef.
Chef is a great movie.
No,
food.
If you want to get away from all the big blockbusters, Godzilla, X-Men.
Well, one last point I wanted to make about Chef. What do you make of? This is an independent film. Absolutely.
Is it?
It is. It absolutely is. But
that doesn't mean what it meant before, because this is not an independent film. I mean, maybe technically independent, but this has huge stars.
Well, that's the point I was going to bring up. It's that. What do you think about? Because for me, it seems like the cameos of Scarlett Johansson and Robert Downey Jr. they aren't big enough to where they're.
Are you kidding?
Draws to the movie.
No, but they're going to use them to their advantage.
Exactly.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though. I mean, like, for years, the biggest independent film of all time was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
That has no bearing now, because that's a huge property that was made technically outside the studio system, and it was bought by New Line. So that doesn't mean anything. Like it, that part of independent film doesn't mean anything to me.
I just wonder if what you think about using cameos from big stars to bring people into independent movies.
I don't think it. I personally don't think it helps. I don't think. Chef's a great movie. I don't think it's going to make any money.
But even Jon Favreau's not.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, he's not nobody.
Nobody's looking at the names. Everybody's just looking at
But I think that big stars can help people bring people into independent movies. And I'll use the example of when Tree of Life opened. That theater was packed with people
because they were there
for Brad Pitt and they were there for Sean Penn. And so I think that it's a good gateway for people to get into independent movies. But
that's not a real independent movie, though. But
it is because it's independently financed, and then
but
distribution is bought. That's the definition.
But in the spirit of what we're talking about here, I mean, because again, all of the Star Wars prequels were independent movies. Those were independent films, not financed by a studio. They were financed entirely by the production company, and that's not in the spirit. I mean, I guess we kind of need to redefine then what we're talking about. I mean, let's reinvent the wheel here. I mean, independent film would be, to me, something that's low budget, something that's not made by, doesn't feature. I mean, this not the guy that directed Iron Man. The guy that directed Iron Man and Iron Man 2 isn't. By definition, he's not making an independent film.
But if he makes a micro-budget movie, then
that's something different. That's not. I don't know. I think it's very.
I think the line is very thin.
Well, I mean,
there's still the definition still isn't defined, especially today.
But
you finance a film on Kickstarter, as a nobody director with no stars. That's an independent film to me.
But what does the industry definition is changing, because if you look at the Independent Spirit Awards, 12 Years a Slave won everything. Yeah. And the Coen brothers are huge directors, but they're independent film directors. They don't make studio movies. So
again, that's one of those things that I think it's just a term that doesn't mean it's meant to evoke a style and not a true filmmaking technique. It's you're the style of the film, like you don't make. It's like when people say, like, I want to make a viral video. Like, that's not something you can just make. Like, it's something that has to happen. Like, you can make it have all the elements of a viral, something that has gone viral before, but it's not. It's a description. It's not a style.
But I also think that it would be unfair to assume that just because a star is in a movie that it's not an independent film. or a major director. Or...
technically, yeah. I mean, it's a lower budget film. It's a low budget film. It's any number of things, but it's not what we have grown up with as independent film.
Right. Well, this would be a very natural segue into our next segment and our final segment.
Let's talk independent film. It's the Indie Spotlight.
So, as you heard from the lovely lady that just spoke,
is she really British? Do you think
she is really British? Yeah, I think.
Can we meet her?
If you want to go to England, then yeah, maybe. But
I do.
All right, let's set it up.
Buy a million more T-shirts, everyone.
Yes, we'll need to sell a lot of T-shirts just to meet the person who did the voiceover. So this is the first segment, the Independent Spotlight. We're going to talk a little bit about independent films, and this week obviously was the Cannes, I believe it is, Film Festival, and so reviews are trickling out for movies there. And one of the interesting movies there was called The Disappearance of Eleanor Rigby. Them, which was the subtitle for it. So this is a movie made by a first-time director. Ned Benson is the name of the director.
Ned Benson.
Ned Benson.
That is a British name if I've ever heard one.
Yeah, and it stars James McAvoy and Jessica Chastain. So basically, here's a little bit of background on this movie. This was this was supposed to be two movies. It was supposed to be a relationship movie split up into two perspectives, and it was originally going to be the Disappearance of Eleanor Rigby, his, and the Disappearance of Eleanor Rigby, hers. And they screened as two different movies and premiered at the Toronto Film Festival separately.
This is a movie, right? Not bathroom towels.
Stop.
What?
Oh my God. His and hers bathroom towels is the joke.
That
one needed some really big. That was like that joke went on a European vacation. That needed serious unpacking.
Honestly,
it's serious unpacking.
It was so bad that we should edit it out, but to shame Kiko, we should definitely keep it in.
Leave it in, let it hang.
But anyway, I don't even know if I can come back from that. But
so it was released as screened as two films, and now
it was acquired by the Weinstein Company. So the Weinsteins are obviously very powerful people, and basically one version of the movie, the him version or the his version, which it's either him or her or his or hers, but anyway, the male version was 89 minutes, and her version was 100 minutes, and like I said, it's two different perspectives of a relationship breaking up or whatever it may be. So the Weinsteins got a hold of it and said, "No, we're not doing this," and
well, of course they said no. I mean, how long is a movie like that?
They condensed it down to a 2-hour movie, so they cut out about an hour of it.
Right.
So basically what is going to happen is it premiered at Cannes as the one-parter. And later this year, they're going to release both parts in theaters. They're going to release them separately and together. Now, the Weinsteins, this is nothing new for them. They cut out Snowpiercer, which is a movie that I don't believe has come out here yet, but they took the director's cut and they cut out a pretty substantial piece of it. So I guess the debate becomes, is it right for a distributor like the Weinsteins to take away the director's vision and separate the movies between two parts and one part?
No, it's not right, but what did they think was going to happen? I mean,
that's the thing that is the hugest? That's the word, right? The biggest kind of obstacle to overcome as an artist, as somebody who creates when you're dealing with business, is that for business decisions are always going to be made that affect your artistic vision. And this is just another one. I mean, it sounds like an intriguing idea. I'd like to see both of those films. I don't know that anyone else would.
Well, here's the thing. Here's my giant issue with it. I have a big problem with this.
Yeah.
First of all, we're talking about an independent movie, and we're talking about an independent movie audience, which is substantially different than your mainstream audience. So I think an independent audience would be willing to sit through two movies.
But remember Grindhouse? Nobody sat through Grindhouse. Yeah, that was a huge bomb.
That's the apples and oranges here.
But it's the same.
Or blood oranges, right? Huh?
Oh, stop it.
That's applause.
I thought that was somebody knocking.
No, that was me.
That was knocking at the door to tell you to leave.
But the thing is,
that was you. I know it was you. I saw it happen.
No, we're actually on like a 40-foot table, so Jared has had to squint.
It's
to
like
see me
in
do
Batman when
yes, with the board meeting.
No,
not that. Oh, the eating. Yes.
The first Batman?
Yes, the first
Did you
one.
pass the salt?
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
Let's reenact it. Let's go. Come on.
Could you pass the salt?
Oh, so you're Kim Basinger?
Well, of course. Look at me.
Okay, that's right. What?
Could you pass the salt? Isn't that what she says?
Something like that. Let's
Guys.
keep going.
Anyway, like I said, I think that for an independent filmmaker I guess I don't see it as a business decision because first of all, you're compromising the movie. You're cutting out stuff that could be vital and important.
But are you? I mean, that's as somebody who's made films and made stuff like that. If you look at it 3 years later, like I've made some stuff that we released on the internet 3 years ago. I look at it now, I'm like, man, there is a bunch of stuff that could have gotten cut out of this. This is tight. I mean, it's one of those things they tell you as a screenwriter and as a filmmaker is be prepared to cut your favorite scene because it may not work. Time wise, it may not flow. Again, this sounds like something that the Weinsteins thought was a fantastic idea.
Here's the thing: the Weinsteins. There's an issue with the Weinsteins underestimating American audiences because that is why Snowpiercer was cut. They cut it for American audiences because they didn't think that they would enjoy that.
But we haven't seen it yet, so we can't really comment on it.
That's true.
Whatever you think of them, whatever you think of their awards baiting, whatever you think of the way that they conduct their Oscar campaigns, maybe not so much now, but back in the old Miramax days, these guys knew what the hell they were doing. And I mean, they could sell. People still talk about Shakespeare in Love ripping off the Oscar from Saving Private Ryan.
I disagree with that.
What do you think it should have been?
I think Shakespeare in Love should have won.
I love Shakespeare in Love, but that's the big talk is that it should have.
Right. We're in the minority there. Yeah. We're in the minority. Everybody thinks that. I
still love that movie.
I love Shakespeare in Love.
Yeah. But anyway, that was kind of their big deal in the late 90s was these huge kind of Oscar pieces. And they had a reputation then, too, of burying things. One of the most famous ones is Boondock Saints, which a movie I don't really care for.
Me neither. What is with that Boondock Saints?
What's with chicks getting like Boondock Saints tattoos and stuff? I don't know. I thought it was just a generic. I guess it's the cult status. That guy did a lot. I can't remember his name right now. The director did a lot to, I guess, build up his kind of cult standing. But they, famously in the '90s would back these projects and be huge behind them, and then just sort of dump them.
Yeah. But I also don't think that long run times are the kiss of death by any stretch. I mean, Lord of the Rings movies are 3 hours long, and people come out in droves for that.
But that is so different. I mean,
it is.
People have such a huge following. I totally disagree with you on this. I mean, I think the Weinsteins are correct when they say that American audiences are dumb. They are. American audiences.
I don't know that
dumb.
It's dumb.
Well, you have to dumb down things for people.
But
nowadays.
we're not. But that's the thing. We're not talking. First of all, we're not talking about a movie that is going to make a lot of money financially, and we're not talking about a movie that people are going to see in droves.
Okay, but if it can make more money one way than it can the other way.
Well, how does that work? Because you have two movies, you can make profits off two movies.
Yeah, but if one sucks, the other one's nobody's going to see the other one. That was one of the hugest gambles with Lord of the Rings was that because they shot those all back to back to back,
right?
With reshoots coming later. If the first one bombed, they had two giant turkeys waiting for the next couple years. And, to Peter Jackson's credit at the time, I think he's lost his way a little bit lately. He made the right choices, and the movies were a huge hit, which let him write whatever he wanted to check-wise for the next 15 years. It's not a risk that's unrealistic.
Yeah. I don't like that it's stifling creativity.
No, I see what you mean. I agree with you on that. I think that
they shouldn't discourage that, right?
I don't think they should. But from a money standpoint, I mean, it's just not going to work. I mean, I think the people that really do want to see both movies that are 3 hours long are going to see them, but again, they should see them when he releases them.
And who knows?
The director's cut.
And I mean, is I don't know the stories. Is he recutting them, or is it Weinstein? Are they getting an editor to recut it?
I think that the director recut it. Yeah.
Well, and that's fine with me too. I mean, if it was given, I mean, unless you're just some crazy auteur like someone like Crispin Glover or what's his name,
Vincent Gallo.
Yeah, that's who I was thinking of. Your goal is success. Your goal is to have a vision, have it released as, I guess, complete as possible. Because even when you're making the film, you're making compromises.
Yeah.
So you're not on mic there.
I know.
Okay.
I was lounging.
See, actually, that's why I like what Jon Favreau has done, and he's done big tentpole movie projects, and they've been pretty successful. And he takes some of that money and he makes great little films.
Well, yeah,
like Chef.
you do the blockbuster, then you do the one for you.
Yeah, that's the famous saying. I do not like the idea of coming up with this new, really creative idea of showing a movie, showing it from two different perspectives. It's really unique, and then by doing this, you're saying, well, this is not something that we want to do, and it's keeping things from progressing and being different, and I just don't like that.
But what if they were only good, like these two movies separately, like they're okay, and then when you cut it together, what if it makes it better?
And it's hard to say without seeing the movies. The reviews have been coming in and they've been mixed.
Cannes is weird anyway, though.
Yeah, that's a weird audience, and I think most people, the consensus is most people want to see what it's like seeing them separate, and the idea that they are going to release both is good. That helps a little bit, but
I'll watch both. I'll watch both movies separate, and then I'll watch this. I saw Carlos. Remember the movie Carlos,
Carlos?
Like that? It was 9 hours long.
Yeah,
and then they condensed it to 2.5 hours.
Yeah, or 3
so I
hours.
watched 11.5 hours of movie.
See, I only watched the 9-hour version.
Well, see, and I mean, there's something to be said for something that's flabby. Like I got to see an early print of the campaign, which whether or not you think it's
beautiful independent cinema there.
Whether or not you think it's any good or not, I thought it was all right. But seeing they were told us beforehand, hey, this is a work in progress, which was strange because it was like a month out from release and they were still cutting stuff, and you could see the flab. You can feel the flabbiness of it, and it sounds really appealing, right? There's a certain subset of the audience. What is it, Rule 43, right? That's the internet thing.
I don't know.
Am I the only one that knows this?
I don't know.
That means that anybody, anywhere is turned on by whatever you're talking about.
Oh, wow.
Or somebody somewhere. I mean, not anybody anywhere, but somebody somewhere, no matter what it is turned on by
Story of my life.
whatever. Yeah. Like the Kiko Martinez story. Anyway, so you can. I'm a big fan of cutting a movie down as much as you can, because there's tons of stuff that comes out now that's way too long.
Sure.
If you're a comedy, if you're over an hour and 45 minutes, you better be the funniest friggin' comedy I've ever seen.
We're talking to you, Judd.
Yeah, Judd Apatow. I love the idea behind funny people. It feels like two movies smashed together that he didn't cut anything out of.
And there is something to be said for restraint. You're right.
And I don't have a problem with it being shorter, and I don't think that like you said, the audience for something like this is so tiny, probably, that it's not going to make a big difference. But a difference is a difference. Whether it makes 20 million over its box office run compared to 25 million, which is probably pretty high.
That's very high.
Whatever. If it makes 5 million over its box office run as opposed to 2.5 million, that's another 2.5 million. Then that gives the director more, I guess, leverage in this weird way that Hollywood works. Is if your movie's a hit, then you're a hit.
Or maybe I'm just not thinking it from, hey, you've seen the one version, so now you got to go watch the second one, and so it's a way for people to watch two different versions.
Wasn't there talk once upon a time of Quentin Tarantino editing Kill Bill down into one movie?
I think I read about that.
Yeah.
That'd be an interesting movie. I mean, I like it the way it is now, but
and I guess we are seeing the trend. I mean, more to Cody's point, we are seeing the trend of these movies being cut into two, like the last Harry Potter film, the last Twilight film,
right,
and what will be the last Hunger Games film.
But it's not because they can't fit everything into one movie,
right? Yeah, that's the difference. Is that it's purely for marketing.
And that's the same Hobbit thing. I mean, The Hobbit is a 300-page book that they're turning into 2.5 to 3 hour movies.
See, that's what success gets you. That's what $1 billion.
It's a built-in audience.
That's what $1 billion at the box office for Peter Jackson gets you.
And that's why they're such great films. These last two. Oh my god!
I wish they were. I wish he had made, if not one solid 2.5 hour movie. I wish these were 3 90-minute okay movies instead of 3 bloated 3 hour movies.
Right.
I mean, if we had to have more than one Hobbit movie, which I know we had to in this day and age, I wish they would have been way leaner than they are.
I kind of feel Peter Jackson feels stuck in this. Like he just is like taking a step back and saying, "Damn, wish I shouldn't have said yes." To
You know what? It's interesting, and a friend and I were talking about this the other day. The filmmaking techniques have changed. With the 3D audience now, Peter Jackson's had to change the filmmaking style. So the charm of the original trilogy of Lord of the Rings, they used a lot of forced perspective for the hobbits. Mm-hmm. Ian McKellen was standing closer to the camera than Elijah Wood and everybody. But with 3D, shooting in 3D, you can't do that because the 3D camera would pick up the difference.
Right.
So he's had to rely now on more green screen, more CGI. And I think it's really kind of hurt him as a filmmaker. It's the charm of his stuff is gone because it's part of the charm of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, the first trilogy, was that he brought some of that the stuff he'd done before, the weird kind of puppets, and that weird scene where Ian Holmes' face as Bilbo gets replaced by like a crazy face.
Oh right.
I mean, that was just a puppet face. Like it wasn't. That was no special effect. They just cut a frame in of a puppet face.
I love puppets.
I do too.
That's why I'm not looking forward to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Well, yeah, those weren't technically puppets though.
But there were people inside big suits. They're big puppets. Wasn't Splinter a puppet?
Splinter was a puppet. Yeah.
No.
Run by Kevin Clash. By the way.
Elmo. Oh. Nice.
Ooh. Uncomfortable. Yeah. So I mean.
We talked about Bryan Singer. We didn't say uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Well, yeah. But those.
That's another podcast, I think.
Do you care what happened? I mean, this is probably a conversation to be had later, but does that ever influence either of you guys?
Never. I don't care what anybody does in their spare time. I just want to see what kind of movies
their
they
spare
make.
time. That's you're making it sound like it's a hobby. Like
I don't. Let me rephrase that then. I don't care about anybody's personal life. I just want to see a good movie.
It's difficult to separate it, I think, a little bit.
I think in this day and age, yeah.
I think it's unfair to people. Like, I mean, yeah, Mel Gibson's an asshole off screen, but I mean, come on, no, Apocalypto was an amazing movie.
Well, and like the Woody Allen one was the latest one, and you saw very few people back off of Woody Allen as far as his back catalog.
But he's not really one of those public filmmakers, though.
Right? Yeah, that's true.
I mean, he doesn't do interviews. He doesn't. He's not on the Tonight Show. He's not on Oprah or whatever. I think that it's in this internet culture now where we get stuff like breaking news: Edgar Wright kicked off of off of Ant-Man. 15 years ago, you wouldn't have known that. Unless you read a magazine that came out like a month later, like, hey, there's now it's breaking news that a director has left a movie. Who cares? I mean, I guess a lot of people,
which is why we're talking about it.
Way to sink the whole first half of our podcast.
Damn it! In the grand scheme of things, like it doesn't change 99% of the people's minds.
Yeah,
but it's still news.
Yeah,
and as someone in the news business. It's one of those weird things to me. Like you have to be providing that. You have to be feeding that beast, and frankly, personal scandals. That's it feeds the beast like crazy.
I think that the biggest test of that was Michael Jackson. Was kind of the first, like, if it seemed like the first really big test of whether the material you could look past the personal life and enjoy the material still. And
yeah, I mean, I think that obviously he suffered musically later. I mean, he wasn't. I mean, nothing ever tops Thriller. Nothing. I mean, Off the Wall, Thriller, and Bad. I mean, those are. But I mean, even Bad, his most recent great album was, 21 years, 22 years old by the time he died. So
yeah.
And plus, he was publicly strange too. Not like Bryan Singer, who you heard about in lawsuits, or Kevin Clash in lawsuits. This is a guy that, obviously altered his appearance. And I guess it didn't stop me from enjoying Captain EO at Disneyland. And again, another great kind of underappreciated. It's weird that thing got buried for so long because of his scandal, and it's really a charming kind of 10-minute real echoes of kind of that Star Wars era of sci-fi and puppetry and stuff. It's really, I don't know if either of you have ever seen it, Captain EO. Mm-hmm. There's no home release for it, but it's just basically a 10-minute kind of showcase of 3D puppets and Star Wars mixed together. And Angelica Houston, back when she was young and hot, like, oh man. And Michael Jackson's in it, and it's weird, but I mean, it's a piece of filmmaking that I think that suffered from, because they only showed it at Disneyland and Disney World, and Disneyland didn't want to have anything to do with that during that scandal. So it got buried in the the early '90s, and wasn't seen again until after he was dead.
Yeah, and I think that it will be interesting to see, because Woody Allen has a movie coming out soon. It'll be interesting to see in the wake of, because Mel Gibson actually did suffer quite a bit.
Oh, totally.
After
Unfairly,
everything that happened. Because
as an artist, not as a person.
Yeah, because since then he's done like Get the Gringo, but that wasn't. That's, you can hardly count that. But has he directed anything since all of that happened?
No, but you remember he wanted to do his Viking movie.
Yeah,
with,
that's right.
Didn't Apocalypto hit like right at that
exactly,
time?
And nobody went to go see it because of that.
But that was also kind of strange too. It was that I don't think that's fair to blame the failure of that on it, because wasn't it in like Incan or something? Like it wasn't in English.
Well, it was a foreign type film.
Well, okay.
But at the same time,
but that's
I'm
not
sure.
fair though. That's not the same. That's not like saying like, hey, he made a sequel to Braveheart and nobody went because of this scandal. If he made a more accessible movie,
that's true.
It would. I don't think the scandal would be, because this scandal, this frankly isn't going to hurt Bryan Singer.
Oh, I totally think X-Men is gonna not make any money this weekend because of it.
Yeah, theaters are empty because a confirmed, gay man is being accused of something.
Right.
I don't think anybody. Obviously, if it's true, it's not the most desirable story, but I don't think it'll affect the box office at all.
No, I don't think so.
But when you have a public meltdown, like Mel Gibson did, and it's on. He said some crazy things.
Yeah, he did.
And it just gets played and played, and then your next movie is some obtuse, Incan. What is it? Was it Mayan? I don't even remember what it was. Mayan, adventure in another language. Like, yeah, of course nobody's going to see that. And then they're on top of that, they're not just going to go see it because it's a Mel Gibson movie. They're not going to go see it because it's too different. It's not. It's not Braveheart. It's not.
That was probably not the best career move for him to put that out. He should have done What
Braveheart
Women
2.
Want To, and just made something lighthearted.
Or even something like a thriller, like something like Ransom. Something just a crowd pleasing thriller.
Did he do Edge of Darkness?
He did Edge of Darkness, and that one didn't do well either.
Yeah. Well,
but that came out like in January. You know how that goes.
Yeah. Box office poison is box office poison. That's the sad truth of it. If you can recover, if you have something that can just knock people.
He was supposed to be in Hangover 3, but that fat Zach Galifianakis.
No, he was supposed to be in Hangover 2.
Hangover 2, sorry.
Yeah.
Zach Galifianakis did not want to work with him. Sorry.
So they replaced him with the ultra recognizable Nick Cassavetes, I believe.
Totally.
So
I had to look that up after the movie.
Yeah.
Not that those movies didn't. That movie sucked, but.
Oh,
yes.
That movie was terrible.
Terrible.
I think Mel Gibson could have made it better.
It would have at least made it interesting. It's funny, like a convicted rapist, like Mike Tyson serves. I guess just as the butt of a joke.
Right, exactly.
Now. But time heals all wounds, man. That's what happens in Hollywood. Like, look at Robert Downey Jr. In 1997, that guy was at the bottom of a friggin' ditch.
Hugh Grant. Hugh Grant was a.
Hugh Grant never really suffered, did he?
I think he did a little bit.
But Robert Downey Jr. This guy was a drug addict. Got kicked off of Ally McBeal. And then now he's the biggest star in Hollywood. He hasn't made a bomb.
Well, and of course he's also, as a result, Mel Gibson's biggest proponent at this point.
Well, yeah. I think we all know this better than anybody. Hollywood loves a redemption story.
Yes.
You just gotta do it. If Mel Gibson came out and was repentant and apologetic, I think it would serve his purpose. It would serve his career a lot better.
He has to remember to take his pills before he does that.
Do you guys want a list of 10 actors who have killed people in real life?
Sure.
Okay.
I know Matthew Broderick's on the list.
one.
Who did he kill?
Him and Jennifer Grey when they were dating, they hit somebody in like Ireland or something.
Yeah.
In a car.
He was driving?
Yeah.
Well, you guys talk. It's pulling up. Kiko's internet is
Hey.
It's yeah.
You need a lot of bandwidth for the amount of movies I watch.
He's streaming Netflix right now.
The only one I mean isn't that old time actor on there on the list.
Like W.C. Fields, that he strangled a kid.
Charlie Chaplin.
But I think
he bludgeoned somebody with his cane.
Okay, here we go. Here's the list.
he was clearly Hitler with that mustache.
Faye DeWitt from Mork and Mindy killed someone.
Okay, is this going to be like obscure people?
I'll find them on.
Let's filter out the people that are like, I don't care. I mean, Matthew Broderick's on that list because Matthew.
Robert Blake.
Yeah.
John Wilkes Booth is on here.
Okay, I think that's enough of this list.
Sorry, guys, that was a
really...
a dud.
What movie was he in?
Yeah, I know.
He wasn't even in Lincoln. They didn't even show John Wilkes Booth in Lincoln. Do you know that?
That'd been cool if they had gotten like his great grandson to
God,
play.
Lincoln was so boring.
What are you
I'm
talking about?
It was. I'm sorry. It was quite dull.
If you like 3 hours of the passing ratification of the 13th Amendment,
It was political opera. It was beautiful.
I wish we still live in an age where you could just knock on the White House door and give the president the business. Like
A piece of your mind.
Yeah,
Oh,
like-
listen.
Anyway, we've kind of gone off tangent here. I don't even know what the heck we were talking about.
We're talking about
independent-
We're
independent
independent. We're in independent spotlight right now.
Yeah.
So we're talking about Eleanor Rigby. You want to give us a little bit of the Beatles, Eleanor Rigby?
That would cost too much money.
Yeah, we don't have that. We would need to sell a lot of shirts to take care of clearing that.
Yeah, that's right. I didn't
Even
think
something
about
like
that.
Mad Men can only play the Beatles like once in its lifespan.
Yeah, those like them and like Led Zeppelin are really expensive.
So does
and
that
Rolling
have
Stones.
anything to do with the movie? The Beatles song?
I think there's some explanation for it. I don't know. I don't know.
Again, we haven't seen the movie, and we're talking about it like we're experts.
That's
I
what,
don't think they should have cut it in two.
That's what the internet is for, though. It's for pretending like you're an expert on everything.
All right, what else we got for independent spotlight? What else do we have for independent? Oh man,
Independent spotlight.
thank you.
I don't think we have anything.
That's it.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
We just talked about one indie movie. Well, I mean, unless they're gonna pay us to talk about their movie. Ooh.
Unless you want to talk Foxcatcher, because that was at Cannes.
Well, you know what? He just won. Didn't you? Read
Oh, I
that?
did not see that.
He won Best Director. Bennett
Bennett
Miller.
Miller.
Bennett Miller just won Best Director at Cannes for
Bennett
Foxcatcher.
Miller directed
Capote and Moneyball. That guy is on a track to be like a prime top caliber director.
See, give him a superhero movie. I'll go watch Ant-Man's.
You watch
Directed
Bennett
by
Miller's
Ben-
Ant-Man?
You know, one interesting thing about Foxcatcher was that it was supposed to come out at the end of the year last year, and you know, I was talking with Kiko when it was pushed back, and I was like, I wonder if they're going to hold this
A whole year?
To compete for the Oscars, and they did because
Sure enough.
it's coming out in November, and so they must feel really good about its chances. I would love to see Steve Carell win an Oscar. That would be awesome. But
Instead of just a Dundee.
yeah. Well, and he never won an Emmy for The Office.
He didn't?
That was a
No.
big shame. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was
Shame.
well, not that we're talking about TV shows, but in the prime of its life, The Office was by far my favorite show on TV. Like seasons 2 through 5 are pretty unassailable.
They were great. They were great until they turned Michael into a.
It happens.
An idiot, but-
It's the thing that happens with long running shows. I mean, it's these shows like the good shows like Breaking Bad and The Sopranos and
When they have a short shelf life, it's
and they get out early and it's
Yeah.
that's the hazards of network TV that they have 22 episodes a year to produce, and then when it's a hit, you want it to keep going forever.
and I love when comedic actors I love when comedic actors go dramatic. We have Jim Carrey, Robin Williams have both had some success, and Steve Carell was really good in Little Miss Sunshine.
Yeah, I
And-
can't wait to see if our wonderful actor Adam Sandler can come back from what he's been through, and
Yeah, he's got a Thomas McCarthy movie, so
he's going back to drama.
maybe.
We'll see.
He's destined to make. I think he's trying to make every single one of those fake movies in funny people.
Yeah, he's well on his way at this point. Like they should really do a merman movie. They should like just go for it.
I want to see My Friend the Robot.
Yes.
Or what is it? My Best Friend is a Robot. I don't remember what it was called.
Yeah.
With Owen Wilson.
What was the other spinoff to Little Man? He had one, wasn't there?
Oh, the baby one.
Yeah.
What was that? I don't remember the name of that one.
I don't know.
But he was a baby.
At that point, I think it's a good time to wrap up.
Yes.
All right. So thanks for listening. Thanks once again to everybody who bought a T-shirt.
Don't forget to go to CineSnob.net to check out all our latest reviews and interviews with everybody.
And past podcasts.
Yes.
Not that there's one yet.
And also for anyone listening, in a couple days or a day or two, we'll be having bonus episodes as well, where we're doing extended interviews with people from TV and movies. And our first one will be up with an interview with Josh Robert Thompson from the Late Late
Josh
Show.
Robert Thompson?
I know, guys. You should listen to the beginning. He's very big into puppets. And
he created Jeff Peterson for the
right.
Late Late Show with Craig Ferguson.
Right. And
is the puppeteer, right?
Yeah, he puppeteers, does all the voices on the show. And it's a really, really good interview.
Wait, did he create the puppet, or was that Granty Mahara?
Granty Mahara made the puppet.
Of Mythbusters.
And then Jeff, or Josh, created the character of Jeff and voices and all that. So, yeah, take a listen to that, and hopefully we can feature some more throughout. Do we have any teasers for next week's podcast?
Maleficent, the big Angelina Jolie playing the villain from Sleeping Beauty.
Snow White. Wait.
Sleeping Beauty.
Sleeping Beauty.
Maleficent.
You're right.
Yeah, Maleficent.
So we'll be reviewing that next week.
We're talking about Maleficent and maybe a little bit about the Disney movie culture in general. What do you say?
Sounds good to me.
Yep.
All right. I'm Jared Kingery.
I'm Cody Villafana.
And this is Kiko Martinez.
Thank you for listening to the CineSnob Podcast. To read reviews, interviews, and more, visit CineSnob.net.